Hello, welcome to Bob's Dungeon. My name's Bob, I'll be your host. Have you ever wondered whatever happened to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Other Strangeness role-playing game? Well, for some odd reason, the company that made the game, Palladium Books, they lost the license to publish that role-playing game. Why, I don't know. But as a result, no more Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles role-playing game, which is really sad. It was a great setting for a role-playing game. But inside the game, there was a setting for it. That setting was called After the Bomb, in which the nuclear war happened, the world's devastated, and what remains are all the mutant animals. And after they lost the license to do Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Other Strangeness, they took that idea and ran with it. And that's what we're going to talk about in this video. We're going to talk about After the Bomb. This book has 224 pages and a copyright of 2001. This is the first printing. It was published by Palladium Games, and all of the artwork in it is in black and white and has got that Palladium look to it, which we're familiar with. So let's go ahead and look at that artwork. This is the first picture we see when we open the book. All of the artwork in this book is in black and white. And it's pretty decent too, and it brings that Palladium flair that you'd expect it to. And it goes a long way to setting a proper tone and mood for this game, as well as giving you a lot of good mutant animal pictures. And look at this silly old bear. Who of you out there would be brave enough to try and take his honey? To play this game, what you're going to need is a copy of this role-playing game and a full set of dice. A full set of dice containing a 20-sided die, a 12-sided die, preferably two 10-sided dice for rolling both percentiles and tens, an 8-sided die, a 6-sided die, and a 4-sided die. This book is really neat. Like I said, the After the Bomb got its start in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Other Strangeness role-playing game. Like I said, it was a setting, and after they lost the license for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they took that setting and used their rules for mutants in the game to come up with this game, which is really neat. They've done some really neat updates. So we're going to start off with character creation. Character creation is kind of standard for Palladium game, with the added bonus of how to make up your mutant animal. First is your attributes. The attributes are intelligence quotient, mental endurance, mental affinity, physical strength, physical prowess, physical endurance, physical beauty, and speed. And the way you come up with these are you roll 3 6-sided dice and you add them together for each attribute. If you have a 16, a 17, or an 18 in an attribute, it's considered an exceptional attribute, and you get to roll another 6-sided die and add that to your total. So you have a possible maximum of 24. But if you roll a 6-sided die on this die, if you roll a 6 on this 6-sided die, you get to roll yet another 6-sided die, so that you could have a total maximum of 30 in your attribute. And that's as far as you can take it with rolling. Now there are some physical skills that you can take that'll increase your physical attributes, and it talks about those in the skills section. After you got your attributes, you figure out what type of animal you're going to play, and they have a chart, and you can either pick an animal or you can roll it. And the charts are urban animals, rural animals, and wild animals. They ditched zoo animals in this, and they replaced it with purebreds, which has some really weird animals in there, two of which are the throwbacks and the chimera, which are a special type of mutant animal, and it talks about them in here. All the animals in this book are pretty much North American animals. Now, there are some exceptions from like animals that were in zoos that got loose and so forth. So there's that. But it's got a really good selection of animals in here. After you pick what animal you're going to be, you then roll up a educational background. And this is a background for your character that will also tell you what skills and so forth, skills, equipment, and bonuses to certain attributes, and possibly bonus BioE points that your character might have. The different backgrounds are the feral background, the raised on the frontier, villagers and townies, border area character, elite militia, guerrilla warrior, raised by bandits, and one of the academic underground. And each of those gives you a little bit about the background of your character, and of course you flesh it out more, and it tells you what skills you get and so on. After that, you get to mutate your character, and that's the fun part. Each animal type has a size level, and when you look at the size level, it gives you bonuses and negatives to your attributes. It also tells you how many BioE points you get to start with. You can increase your animal size by spending BioE points. However, if you sacrifice size in your animal, you gain BioE points, which is pretty nifty when you don't have very many. The things you get to mutate are your hands, your speech, your upright bipedal stance, your human looks, and you can also spend BioE on psionics and special powers and abilities. The special powers and abilities will be what you got to choose from will be listed with each animal, whether you can choose them or not, as well as a new trait called vestigial disadvantage, which if you take any of those, they'll give you bonus BioE to spend on your character, which is neat. But your hands, your speech, your biped, and your looks all have 3 steps: none, partial, and full. With none, you're the base. It's the base of the animal. For partial, it's somewhat changed, and for full, it's very functional, looks almost human. So that's pretty cool. Now the looks have an extra step, and that extra step is perfect, which in that there's no trace of the animal left, except for maybe like pointed teeth or something that will always be overlooked. So that's a change. And then you figure up your hit points and your STC. Your hit points are equal to your physical endurance plus a 6-sided die roll, and you gain a 6-sided die every time you gain a level. Your STC will be determined. Your base STC will be determined by your size level, and it will modify depending on your background and your physical skills that you choose. So that's pretty nifty. And after that, your character's pretty much done, and you're ready to get playing, except for your alignment, of course. There are 3 categories of alignments broken up into smaller portions. There are good alignments, which are principled and scrupulous, selfish alignments, which are unprincipled and anarchist, and evil alignments, which are miscreant, aberrant, and diabolic, just like all other Palladium games. And after that, your character's done. And it's exactly like regular Palladium games. You roll a 20-sided die in combat in order to hit. If you roll a 5 or better, you hit. If you roll less than that, you miss. And if you're wearing armor, of course, you have to roll above the armor's rating to hit you. If not, they hit the armor. And that's pretty standard. Then you roll a certain number of dice for damage. For your skills, each skill has a percentile, and you roll percentile dice to see if you can accomplish a skill. And no skill can be above 98. That's the max, because there's always room for error. And that's pretty standard for Palladium games. It gives, like I said, a lot of mutant animals in here. It's even got some stuff on insects, which insects are pretty much unintelligent mutants. And it gives you a really good background for what's going on in this world. And basically, in the not too distant future, genetic alteration became all the rave. And like computers, the technology got smaller and cheaper until people were actually genetically engineering in their homes to make their own pets. You know, combine a little bit of cat DNA with your dog, which would be weird. Combine DNA from a cockroach with a mouse or what have you. And it was illegal to combine human DNA, but nobody listened, and human DNA wound up in the mix, giving them sentient animals, which were, nobody was prosecuted because it turned out to be a big boon. You know, you don't really have to train the animal. You can basically show them what to do and let them do it like any other human. Well, through all this genetic stuff going on, disease was pretty much annihilated. No more diseases. And it started as a joke, which brought what is called the crash. And this kid made his own designer virus to get sick so he could miss a test in school. And everybody made a big deal of it. And after that, you had a bunch of copycats that were trying to one-up each other, trying to see who can make the better sickness. And eventually someone did make it, and they were rewarded with billions of people dying. And that's pretty bad. And the human race would have went on. There was like several 100,000 humans left. But some of those leaders, hidden away in their bunkers, dying from a disease that they refused to believe a child made, went ahead and retaliated and pushed the buttons and launched their missiles, to which everyone else could just launch their missiles in retaliation. So the world was devastated, and after that, there's just a few tens of thousands of humans left. Not really coming back from that one. But the animals thrived, and now it's a world dominated by mutant animals. And there are some humans. Some of them do live peacefully with the animals, while others are trying to bring punishment down upon the animals who would inherit the earth from man. And it talks about different locations and stuff in here. And the kingdom of humanity and stuff like the empire of humanity, I mean, stuff like that. All in all, it's a pretty interesting game, which brings me to 3 questions. Would I play a character in this game? And absolutely. I love Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and this is going on where Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles left off. So yeah, I would play a character in this game. Would I run this game? Again, I'm going to say yes. I've run a lot of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in the past, so this is a no-brainer. I would definitely run this. Would I recommend this book? And I'm going to say I would definitely recommend it. If you like Palladium, this is a good book to get. It will pair up very nicely with your Rifts games and your Heroes Unlimited games. And by itself, it's a really good setting. So thank you for joining me at a look at this book. And hopefully you'll join me next time where we'll talk about something else. Bye.